All right, we are live. I'm going to say to you, Matt, happy Tuesday morning.
Happy Tuesday morning for you. Closer to afternoon though, isn't it?
It is. And much like you should never push to production on a Friday, you should never schedule a live stream the first day you arrive somewhere. So it's been an adventuresome couple of days. I've hardly slept in 2 days, but about 10 minutes ago, I was in my Airbnb and the Wi Fi died. Now, I'm in Rome. Italy's got good cellular data connections, but when you are on the first floor of a 150-year-old building, I'm on the edge network without Wi-Fi. So I am here on a piazza, and I don't know, you can see over my square, that is St. Peter's Basilica right back there. Never do a live stream without checking out your Airbnb a little bit first.
I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it safe.
I did have a coffee right before this, so I am at least appropriate with the concept of the show, even though you don't have your coffee cup again today.
Talking about it, but I got distracted talking to you about Italy. Yes. Today, we're here to talk
Mhm.
about AP2 or
Mhm.
Agent Payment Protocol and why that's relevant at all. I know I've been going off on some tangents about agentic
Sure.
stuff or it's everywhere, but I think this has the ability to have significant
Mhm.
impacts on how human beings go and purchase stuff in the future from e-commerce
Huh.
or
Yep.
otherwise.
And this was published a week ago. This is that fresh off the presses. This is the beginning of this. Nobody's even used this yet. This is just gone out there now. Is it just theory, or is it a working group? Is there what's behind there? What is it? To let us know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say push this to production yet, but I would keep it on your radar. I this weekend spent a good amount of time playing around with A2A, which is agent to agent protocol, and set up a whole little network of agents talking to each other on my local machine and set up a little debug tool that allowed me to communicate and assess and discover them. And so that was interesting enough. But the payment protocol works around what they call signed intents, which I'm still working out some of this cryptography there, but it basically uses a pub/pem type encryption similar to what you'd see for like a JWT.
Mhm.
And what it does is it basically allows you to encrypt these things, sign them, and verify that the human signed off on this intent. So you could have an
So
intent that
so so
says,
could I just highly technical, but essentially you're just putting inside a digital envelope. I this person confirmed some sort of action.
yeah. So there's basically the sign off, like, yep, this is you showed me the right shoes. I'm going to buy them now. That's an
Well, okay,
example. There
okay.
appears to be another way to set simulated pricing floors and things of that
Mhm.
nature that you can
Yep.
send around and pass around. So it's like I said, it's an intent. I want to buy this. This is the range. This is, but that's
Mhm.
not conclusive as in I'm going to make the purchase yet. So like I said, I'm still flushing out the details on this one
Mhm.
for exactly how it works
So
because
So I was doing some research and it's in my computer in my bag that I'm not going to pull out right now. But I saw three different unique use cases, and you just touched on two of the three right there. So the first was human in the loop. And this is your buy shoes example. Go find me the shoes, show them to me. I'm going to click buy because I want to click buy. Use case number two was the example I saw was concert tickets.
Mhm.
I want you to get the best ticket you can get for this show on this date as soon as it goes on sale. And that's where you have the full authorization to go through the entire thing. The third example saw was what you were just talking about right there. And that is, let's say you want something that is out of stock. You authorize your agent to continue looking for that. And you essentially call it temporary digital layaway. Then it comes back to you to complete the transactions.
And that's a really interesting one as well, because you could basically put out an intent to a company and be like, listen, this thing that's been out of stock or whatever, we're interested in it. Put it next time the
Mhm.
shipment come in, let me know. So the
Yes.
company's getting feedback about potential demand that for supply that they don't have. So
And,
it could
and,
be an
and in, and in locking in a sale where that customer might continue looking for a comparable product.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a very interesting dynamic that they're already thinking that far ahead with it. Yeah, I'm eager to see it in play. Now let me address the elephant in the room. Are there ways this can go horribly wrong? Yes, of course. That's yeah.
Continue. I've got a couple thoughts on that, but continue.
Yeah. I personally would be very hesitant to give my agent the ability to make any purchase over a budget of, let's say, $20 a month. I'd be very hesitant to give them that. I'd even be hesitant to let them make lunch orders on my behalf without my approval for quite
Mm.
some time. But probably would have said I would have been hesitant to make a purchase on mobile 15, 20 years ago, and rightfully, but after a while. So what are your thoughts?
About security, right? So we don't know who's going to hack this or what the games are going to be or what the Trojan horse is going to be or what the man in the middle attack is going to be, right? Eh, There's going to be billions of dollars of commerce done by bots. People are going to look to exploit that. Now, I saw several names of companies that were involved with this on day one with Google. Amex was on there, a bunch of big financial firms. One notable company on there got my attention, and one notable company was absent from that list that I was expecting to see. Let's start with the security side of it. The notable company I saw on the list was PayPal.
Yeah.
So I'm exactly in the point of, does PayPal then give me, the person that's authorizing my bot, a second layer of protection against these fraudulent transactions? Because we know PayPal is going to have immense amount of knowledge and data about what the games look like and are going to be able to protect you. So I think this may really end up benefiting somebody like PayPal.
Yeah, Stripe. I figured Stripe would be on top of this right
And,
now.
same thing, exactly. Yes.
I was like, oh, I should build this because it's not out there. No, Stripe's already on it. So I'm waiting. If anybody sees a Stripe API for this drop, let me know because I'd love to dig in on it. But
Yeah. What are your thoughts on giving the user more, dare I say, another layer of protection, another layer of security protocols? If they're going to do this at all, do it with the most secure option, because that is also going to go through your credit card again after that. So theoretically, that's going to be 3 layers of inspection on that transaction.
Yeah, you absolutely need to have a separate. The LLMs can't have the final send all. You can't feed your credit card number to the LLM and say, put this in this form. That's a recipe for disaster. But the LLM should be able to make a tool call out, basically saying, hey, I would request this payment be made. And then in which case, either some set of rules that you've predefined saying allocated a budget of $20 a month to order me.
Well, take the concert tickets, for example. Say,
Yeah.
I want the best concert tickets you can get, because that's much more of a decision to make based upon what's available and when and how quickly it gets in there.
Here's an interesting one though. Like the LLM shouldn't be the one to decide where they're buying the concert ticket from. I feel like there has to be some ground rules, because the LLM could end up on Craigslist being like, oh, this guy is scalping ticket to my favorite one there. Let's wire him in the money right away. It's no, you got to set ground rules. You can only buy from StubHub or whatever. So that's going to be.
And that's where PayPal would also be interesting as well, having knowledge like, whoa, this is a very unusual transaction, or this IP range where this is coming from is suspect, et cetera. Stripe, Square, whomever else. Amex was also on the list.
I mean, this probably $1 billion business in its own is detecting fraudulent agent to agent transactions. And it's not.
I say, finish your thought, then I'm going to go somewhere slightly different.
Another interesting thing is I was Googling when I was trying to build an agent to agent client, right? And you're supposed to be able to have agent 1 talk to agent 2. I didn't want to build all the agents myself. I was like, what are the publicly accessible agents out there as of the moment? And in reality, I was unable to find one with the aid of ChatGPT. It's interesting that the protocol's taken out, but it seems to be more used internally, which brings it basically to the point of, for these agent to agent transactions, how does discovery work? Do you just find and then another agent to talk to on a site similar to Craigslist and start talking?
And then is your agent a bot of an agent of a bot of an agent of a bot? You don't know what is happening at that point. If there's not any sort of, this is where like Trustpilot comes in, something like this, right?
Yeah.
Or even maybe somebody's going to own it, the Google plugin store of agents.
Yeah.
The Google Chrome plugin store, more specifically.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating how that works out. I have a feeling the big tech's going to each kind of come with their own ecosystem.
And that's a beautiful segue for me. So there was one company that I did some research that I did not see on this list of people day one collaborating with Google on this. And they've got to gain on at least 3 different fronts. And I'm sure they're working on their own thing. That's your favorite Amazon. They have to gain obviously on the commerce front, right? First and foremost. Second, they're selling GPU cycles, and there's going to be a massive number of GPU cycles behind this trend. And lastly, what was user data, absolute user data.
Listen, the interesting thing in this world, I guess, depending on if you own your own LLM or you're just renting one from whoever is issuing it, it's interesting that your data may be obscured a bit. I was just thinking about that. So I've got a client and we get searched on GPT quite a bit, or a lot of referrals coming in from ChatGPT. We don't have any information on the queries that those people are typing into ChatGPT or the
Mm,
conversations they're having.
mm.
Versus a Google search, we can tell, Google tells us, hey, this is the search. ChatGPT doesn't give us that feedback. So it's actually
Yet.
anonymized a fair amount of research there. The agent has anonymized the user in some way. So it's a double-edged sword depending on where you're at. Personally, I don't want Google to know everything I do. And I don't want these third parties to know what I had for breakfast necessarily, unless it's relevant to the search that I'm doing there. So it's an interesting paradigm there. Once you get payments in the mix, though, then there's got to be some authentication, and then you get the idea. No, but I guess they could obscure who it is up until the time the payment is made. And they'll also, there's another interesting one, is they'll also probably become these payment providers that get a bunch of people together and then they make one payment on the behalf and say,
Sure,
basically,
less than truckload sorts of things. A bunch
yeah,
of
you
people
wouldn't know the
together and buy
exact
stuff.
person that did it. You'd know it's one of 10,000 people that use the service that did it. So a proton mail of payments of such. So I don't think the U.S. government will like that one. I don't know.
Then it probably will. Then it won't be used, at least
Mhm.
not for traditional commerce through mainstream channels for the foreseeable future. So,
Speaking of shady, depending on how you look at it, payment stuff, they are making plans to allow for, I believe it's Ethereum at least, if not Ethereum and Bitcoin and some other ones, payment using A to A. So they're planning for that, it appears.
who's pushing for that, and will it be implemented?
I don't know. It's just on the homepage of the new protocol there. So it is somewhat implemented. Even if you were
Well, I
to,
guess somebody will implement it. That, I guess there's no doubt in that. Yeah,
even if you're still the
interesting.
standard like credit card system. So like PayPal, every PayPal transaction doesn't have what's the name of the system there? A credit card transaction. You could have these kind of subsidiaries that just basically settle up at the end of the day. They're like their own little stock.
Batch processing, batch
Yeah,
processing.
yeah, exactly. I'm losing my train of thought here, but yeah, we're going to see a lot of very interesting things. And this actually leads me to the topic I was hoping to save for next week. But you get enough transactions that happen, entire systems that pop out of it, and their economies. And so there's this new concept that I'm writing about next week and some papers I want to dive into more before we really get into it. But the agentic economy, because the frequency which these things can behave, the swarms and stuff, it's going to get fascinating. It's probably horribly destructive at some point.
Well, the first thing that occurs to me is all of a sudden, like mass micropayments become a very interesting thing.
You know,
Can you imagine? Think about cars right now. So in a lot of cities in Europe, they have limited traffic zones between certain hours. Could you microtransaction things of people moving around or engaging with things, or how would something like that even work? That could be interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it's think of it with auctions. So that'll be anything that could have been auctioned before. And if I'm selling something, I want the best price. Maybe it's just a seat on the bus or something like that, which would be really messed up for public transport. But I'm trying to think of something that's plane seats are a perfect example of it. Fluctuate according to demand and supply all the time. But you could do that on a much more granular level.
And a
which would
real
be
world
interesting.
level almost.
Yeah. Imagine you're a coffee shop. You say, oh, we only got a few more seats left this hour that we can let you sit a bit on it, which would be horrible.
There's a company based in Madison that's been successful doing this model called Line Leap.
Line. Okay. Do tell.
You don't want to wait in line. How much you willing to pay to get out of that line?
Yeah.
And rather than I'm sure they have to cut them back in because the bouncers used to make all the cash. If you wanted to get in, you had to slip the bouncer cash. Now it's the owner setting up the account. You're like, you're not slipping the bouncer. It's good for the consumer. I guess it's bad for that particular individual, however.
Yeah. It just makes you wonder if there's going to be just all the accelerated advanced finance stuff we've got where you're doing a long call and a put option on this instead of just for stock markets, like other commodities that you'd interact with daily, digital or physical.
Nothing could go wrong with that.
There's a huge chance this is all going to blow up in our faces. Don't get me wrong. The volatility on this could be awful. I'm not particularly advocating for any of it. I'm just seeking to understand it and make my way through this world.
Well, before long, like you said, agents are going to be making payments in some sort of fashion. The use cases all make sense. Now, what's going to come out of it is the question. The three use cases: the essentially go browsing for me, then complete it. This is something I give you very specific parameters you could do, and you've got budget to do. And three, some sort of delayed reaction sort of thing. Another one I saw it talk about that was this was been the same as number two was planning a vacation. Unless you're looking to do something either very specific or very boring, I don't think I would say offer me several options, and then you can, hey, I like what you're doing with option A, but sprinkle a little more of option B into it and dial it in. So that, to me, that feels much more like the hunting for shoes one than the getting concert tickets one.
Yeah. Yeah. The vacation one's an interesting one.
If you're going to Disneyland and you want a hotel within 2 miles of Disney World, okay, that's a different thing than the sort of travel you and I have done.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, you and I aren't really the clients for that one. We just wander wherever life takes us, it takes us. Which is
I don't laugh. The last thing I want to do is have an LLM tell me what's good. It's going to take me to the worst pasta restaurant you can imagine because somebody has deep faked that LLM into thinking that's the best pasta place in Rome.
Like the pasta place you took me in Rome with the little old lady that doesn't speak a lick of English and just serves whatever she feels like for that day. Like she doesn't have a website that's discoverable by those LLMs. So like we never would have found that way. So
true.
By the way, it's amazing. I'm jealous you're back there. But okay. So bottom line.
That's a whole separate topic. Envy, travel envy. Anyways, bottom line, wrap her up, bring her home for us.
All right. If I had an e-commerce store, I don't know about a SaaS necessarily, but if I was in e-commerce, okay, there's a growing amount of these agents and now they can actually start making payments. It's happening all around you. They're going to start making payments on their users' behalf. You should have your head wrapped around it if you want to participate in that new agentic economy. And I'm assuming you do because there's going to be a lot of money in that. And there's going to be a lot of money wasted at times, I'm sure, but it's probably, I don't think it's going anywhere unless you're mobile away. It's like the mobile traffic. Is that going to disappear? I doubt it.
Yeah, I think the question is adoption rate versus adoption question mark.
Yeah, people seem to be adapting very quickly. Yeah.
Could have interesting implications for anybody that does anything sort of auction style as well. Limited edition items.
This is something you and I should jam on out offline because especially if the economy were to take a trip sideways, I know that the auction houses actually do fairly well in bad economies. Yeah, it's fascinating to think about. All right. With that said, we've been going for 20 minutes. Thank you for joining. Anybody that has, actually, I didn't check the comments the whole time.
I'm afraid I'm on my phone doing this right now. I'm afraid to press any buttons on my phone because I hung up on Matt when I was trying to something up earlier. Gotcha. I haven't even looked for comments. We had a couple people log on. So with that, I say we wrap another Tuesday. What do you think?
Sounds good. Have a great one.
See y'all.